Our first sponsor is Inverted Gear. For all the freshest in Jiu-Jitsu gear, go to invertedgear.com. Type in the coupon code ShowTheArt15 and save yourself some money, particularly 15%. So go to invertedgear.com and save some money. Our next sponsor is Chimera Coffee. Go to chimeracoffee.com. Type in the coupon code ShowTheArt. Save yourself 10% on any and all their products. That includes their nootropic infused Dominican Republic coffee. That includes their travel mugs, their t-shirts, anything you want. Their cacao booster. It's cacao and cinnamon and L-glutamine. Anything you want. Type in the coupon code ShowTheArt. Save yourself 15%. Our last sponsor is M85. Go to M85.com. Spell it out, no numbers. And check out his gear. He sells rash guards. He's a designer. He will design your logo. He'll design your. He designed our podcast logo, and he's a really great guy. He's willing to work with almost anybody. He just needs to make sure we're on the same page. You know what I'm saying? So check him out if you're looking for a new logo or you're looking to get any kind of designs done. He's a great graphic designer. Check him out, M85.com, M85 Designs. Welcome to the Show the Art podcast. My name is Abe. Today, my special guest is a returning guest, master of the 10th Planet System, Eddie Bravo. Eddie, how are you? Thank you for coming on, brother.
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for having me.
I just want to say, I met you at the On Invitational a couple of months back, and I took your seminar. I have to say, you're an excellent instructor. Your attention to detail is like no other.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
For real, anybody who's out there who Eddie comes to town, please, you won't regret it. Go take his seminar. Again, high attention to detail. That's super important in jiu-jitsu.
Thank you. I'll be at 10th Planet Yuma, Arizona this Saturday. Come on down.
Let's do it. Where's Yuma, Arizona?
It's a couple hours, I think, south of Phoenix, something like that.
Okay, cool. Well, Yuma, Arizona. Get your tickets. Go to Eddie Bravo's seminar. You won't regret it. So EBI 11, it's coming up. You're almost there. A week and a half away. This is one of the big shows, man. How's it going? How's the buzz been leading up to this event?
It's been great. I mean, the shows keep getting bigger and bigger, inch by inch, and this show is going to be. I mean, it could be a disaster, but it's looking great on paper.
Sure.
I mean, Gordon, we're going to have a 16-man welterweight tournament featuring Gordon Ryan. Gordon Ryan at 170 might just decimate everybody. Who knows? I mean, he's at 170. It's going to be very, very hard to mess with Gordon Ryan.
Sure.
Very, very difficult.
Yeah.
So he's already the middleweight champion and the absolute champion. So. Man, but it's definitely going to be the toughest 170 bracket in EBI history. That's for sure. We got some monsters. We got Kyle Griffin dropping down to 170. We got Dustin Akbari. We got Oliver Taza. We got Karan Darabedian from Hayastan.
Wow.
We got Wagner Rocha.
Of course, Boogeyman Martinez.
Yes, Boogeyman Martinez and Nathan Orchard, who just won 10 PQ.
Holy crap, man.
And Craig Jones from Australia. There's a giant buzz going on around him.
Ooh.
I mean, he was it seems like every show there's one guy that the fans just force in.
Okay.
And Ashley Williams is one.
Yes.
And now this is the next one. Craig Jones. Daryl O'Connell is back. Same thing with him. He has a giant fan base in Ireland, Daryl O'Connell, and his fans, if you get enough fans, man, and if you got a legit black belt and you're legit It's not that hard to get in.
Yeah.
You just got to be legit.
Sure. And Darragh O'Connor is one of those guys, like you said, he has a huge fan base, and he's one of the few black belts in all of Ireland. So, he's not only like popular, but he's very legit, and he's few and far between in his whole country. So he's definitely a good guy to have on.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, man. And speaking of Gordon at 170, he actually competed at our Show the Art Finishers, our first tournament. He was the winner, and he won at the 170 welterweight division. So, I mean, he looked great. That was about a year and a half ago at 170 at our tournament. I can imagine that, he's going to be able to move as freely and as quickly as he can at that lighter weight class.
Yeah, it's going to be very hard to contain that guy.
I mean, you're the guy behind everything. You hear what everybody's saying. Who is everybody going for? Obviously, Gordon is one of the favorites, but who else are all the people talking about that's saying, hey, that's going to be the finals match?
Well, Richie Boogeyman Martinez is better than ever, and so is Nathan Orchard. Both those guys have improved so much since their last EBI performance. I mean, like I said, Nathan Orchard just won the 10 Planet qualifier. That was an amazing tournament in itself. It was like an EBI on its own, and it showcased his new direction, which is the neck. I mean, that was the original direction, and then Nathan Orchard, like everybody, you got to get obsessed with the leg locks for a while. If you can't play the leg lock game, if you ain't really, really good at it, you're not going to get to that neck anyways. So you got to be really, really good at leg locks because that's the front line. And the last 4 years, Orchard's been all over leg locks, and now he's moved beyond it. And he's still playing leg locks. He'll still tap you, 50 different leg locks.
Sure.
But he's obsessed with the back. And that's how he won 10 PQ.
Nice.
Four rear naked chokes.
Wow. And not to mention at Polaris, he defeated, the great Imanari by getting to his back for, I believe it was the double under. And like you said, he got to the choke. So, wow, I'm excited to see him.
Yeah. At 10th Planet, we had to do a lot of catching up with leg locks. I thought I was doing enough with leg locks. We never banned heel hooks or anything like that. I always welcomed them, and we always had heel hook, leg lock experts sprinkled throughout the system, always. And they've taught my classes when I couldn't make it, and I've always been pro spreading the leg lock knowledge. I thought it was enough, but in today's modern day leg lock game in the sub-only world, I wasn't doing enough. It wasn't enough. You had to really get down and really get medieval with the leg locks. And we did that for the last couple years. And now, I don't know if we're at that Danaher level, but we can hold our own now. Everybody's doing leg locks in the 10th Planet Association. So now we were always trying to catch up with the leg locks and at the same time still take the anti-leg lock game, the smashing game, the pressure game, the squeezing of the neck game, always taking that to the next level. We never just said, okay, now we're leg locks. No, we were just catching up with the leg locks, filling up some holes, and now, we got all sorts of important leg lock transitions in our warm-up system. So we're all caught up now. So we're back to what we were doing originally from day one, is focusing on creating finishing machines. And that's what 2017 is for 10th Planet. It's Operation Finishing Machine. Dope. We're focused on closing the fights with rear naked chokes, with arm bars, and with anything in the truck.
Dope.
Mastering the twister. That's what's going on.
Yeah.
And, going back to the favorites, I think, obviously I'm super biased with my 10th Planet guys, but Boogie is better than he's ever been, stronger than he's ever been. Back when he did 170 the first time, he lost to Darragh O'Connell. So there could be a potential rematch between Boogie and Darragh. But Boogie didn't do strength and conditioning back then. He wasn't doing anything, no professional strength and conditioning. Since then, he's been doing professional strength and conditioning. He's so much stronger now.
It's funny. I just talked to him I just had him on the podcast earlier today. I'm going to release that episode soon, guys. So if you are listening to this one, you probably already heard the Boogie one. But he was saying the exact same thing, that he's on this new strength and conditioning program. And you thought that he didn't need it because he's this intense b-boy dancer. But no, it's a different kind of strength, that isometric squeeze strength, and being able to last 4 matches strength. That's a different kind
Yeah.
of conditioning.
Yes, exactly. And it was exactly that. Gio and Boogie, I never gave the strength and conditioning speech to. I give it to everybody, all my top contenders, because a lot of guys, strength and conditioning and weight cutting, strength conditioning and weight cutting. Find your weight division. I give them all the talk because my guys are all gangsters. They don't turn down fights. They're gangsters. So if someone wanted to challenge, Orchard or Richie or Gio, they would just do it. And with Gio and Richie, they weren't doing strength and conditioning. They were just relying on their b-boy skills.
Yeah.
Which was definitely crucial in developing their techniques and their flows. I mean, their experience in the b-boy world made it easy for them to learn jiu-jitsu and thrive in jiu-jitsu. But it's still and they're strong as hell. They're strong like little chimpanzees. But like you said, that squat strength, that deadlift strength,
yeah, man.
The squeezing strength, that's another level.
Yeah.
So now they're both doing it. And they never did conditioning either. Now they're doing conditioning. They never thought they had to do conditioning. But Gio and Richie, I finally got them on the professional training regimen,
Nice.
and that's going to be huge. And the same thing with Orchard. He's not messing around with the strength and conditioning anymore. They're treating it like a profession now.
Yeah.
And we're going to see a very different Richie and Nathan Orchard.
That's,
but also, we got Wagner Rocha.
Oh, man. He's so deadly.
Yeah, and like I said, Craig Jones is getting so much. There's a giant buzz going around Craig Jones. I mean, real good guys like black belts are recommending him and saying, "Hey, man, you got to get Craig Jones in there. The guy's a beast. He's an animal." So I went out and got him. So also we got Kyle Griffin. He got to the finals at 185.
Sure, another beast.
Another beast. Now he's at 170. Damn, you know what I mean? That Kyle Griffin wrestled his whole life and been doing jiu-jitsu for the last 10 years. The guy's amazing. He's not a black belt, but he's one of those guys that should have been a black belt a long time ago.
Yeah.
But he just keeps bouncing around from school to school. Drysdale didn't want to give him his black belt because he wasn't training in the gi.
Gotcha.
So he left Drysdale. Now he's representing Dunham Jiu-Jitsu, Dunham's school.
Okay.
So. And we also got Karan Darabedian. That guy's an animal. Gary beat him in the last time we did the 170 division, but he beat him in overtime. Gary couldn't tap him in regulation. Karan is a fucking animal. He's always going to be in there, And of course we got Oliver Taza. He won the Grappling Industries EBI qualifier.
Sure.
And he's a brand new monster on the rise.
He's a beast, man. I've witnessed him live. He competed at a tournament last month, and the guy's a stud, man. The guy, he trains and he can move with the best of them, honestly.
Yes. And then we got Dustin Akbari. He's a savage as well. He just had a super fight with Gary Tonin. He lost. This is, maybe he gets a chance at redemption versus Gordon Ryan. I'm sure it'd feel almost as good, maybe not better. So we got some straight beasts. And also, one guy I discovered while I was researching a fighter that was already in EBI. I just wanted to see how this guy moved.
Yeah.
I ran into Dan Borovic, and that guy, I don't know, have you heard of him?
No, I haven't.
Oh, man, Dan Borovic. Remember that name? That guy's an animal. So I found him on Instagram and invited him personally. I go, I got to have this guy in EBI.
Nice.
So that guy's a straight beast.
Now, with all these killers, how do you put together the brackets? Like, are you guys going by random, or are you sitting down with your little committee and you guys are figuring out what are the best matchups possible and what matchups can lead to the best finals match possible? How are you figuring out
exactly. That's what we're doing.
Okay, you're masterminding it.
Yeah.
Awesome, man.
We're just trying to put together the most entertaining show. That's basically it.
And I have to give it to you, man. And, it's half you and half the competitors, if not more the competitors. But the last EBI, Gio Martinez defining moment of his career. Please tell me that was it when he beat Eddie Cummins in the finals. That match was meant to happen so many times before, and it just kept going by the wayside. It kept slipping through the fingernails, and it finally culminated into the finals of EBI in Mexico City, and it was just a glorious match. I believe it's Gio's defining moment of his career thus far. What do you think about that performance?
I think everything was perfect. I mean, the fact that it was EBI 10,
Yeah.
10th Planet won it.
Oh, man, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, in Mexico City, a Mexican won it. I'm Mexican.
Mm.
It was against the best leg locker in the world, the most feared leg locker in the world, Eddie Cummins. He's such a nightmare. If he wasn't such a nightmare, it wouldn't have been as sweet.
Of course, of course.
So it was the most important and greatest match in 10th Planet history.
Wow. Now, a lot of people would argue and say that your match versus Hoyler would be, but we'll give it to Gio because you said so.
Well, let me say that Gio match, that was the greatest win in 10th Planet history.
Okay.
I didn't actually beat Hoyler. we drew.
Yeah.
So,
but we all.
Yeah. That was the greatest win in 10th Planet history.
Yeah, and like you said, it was just so everything that came down to that one moment. It just everything made it, especially Eddie Cummins. Like you said, if it was anybody else, he's a beast. He's an animal. He's a defending champion. He's a great feared leg lock artist who's been dominating that realm. In fact, he was on the offensive against Gio the whole match until the overtime rules allowed them to kind of test the waters in other positions. And again, that it just made it so perfect. And I can't imagine you as an instructor being so proud.
Oh man, I was shaking. I was standing there when the ring announcer raised his hand, or when Victor raised his hand.
Yeah,
and he's out there. Oh no, when he's doing the interviews, I'm standing there with Victor, and my body's shaking.
Holy crap.
My legs were shaking, and I looked over at Victor, and I said, dude, I kind of whispered to him, I go, can you see my legs shaking?
Wow.
I'm so happy that I'm like, I can't control these seizures that I'm having.
This energy surge.
Yeah.
Oh man, I mean that was a great moment. And again, when I talked to Boogie the other day or this morning, I asked him about that moment, and he said all those great things. And I asked him if this tournament, EBI 11, can be his defining moment. Because again, the same scenario can happen. He can meet in the finals with Eddie Cummins' teammate, another warrior, another champion, another feared artist in Gordon Ryan. And if he can defeat him the same way, I believe that can excel and elevate Boogeyman's name, just like it did his brother.
Yeah. I think, whether or not Boogie takes it all, no one can say for sure. But the one thing I can say for sure is Boogie's stronger than ever before, and better, technically better. He's gotten better in so many ways.
Okay.
It's all set up for him to just showcase to the world what he's all about.
That's awesome, man. And he's a great guy too. You can't get mad at the guy. He's just such a nice guy.
Yeah, absolutely. He's one of the nicest guys on the planet. That's why he's got such a giant school. 10th Planet San Diego is tremendous. So huge. They all love him.
Mm-hmm. Now, another kind of like idea I've been circling around, and I feel like that moment is starting to happen, especially since you said Nathan Orchard's focusing on the neck again. When leg locks first started really giving that surge because of the Danaher guys, everyone started jumping on that ship because we had to survive or sink, right?
Yeah.
I believe that now it's been a couple years. Everybody's catching up. Everybody's almost caught up, for the most part, like on average. Do you think that now it's going to start evening out in the leg lock battles and people are going to go back to the overall jiu-jitsu game and it's not going to be this leg lock battle the whole match? Guys are going to get stuck trying to attack because the other guy has great defense, and that's when we're going to see more passing again and more back-taking again.
Exactly. That's exactly what's going on with 10th Planet. We never stopped that. As heavy as we were getting with leg locks, at the exact same time, we were getting super heavy on the anti-leg lock game.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
Very, very important. Both of them. You got to have that pressure game. You got to have that smashing game.
Of course.
You got to have that squeezing of the neck game. You know what I mean? You got to have as many different chokes in your arsenal as possible.
Sure.
And that's where it's going. But make no mistake about it. You have to. It's almost like before you get to college. You know what I mean? It's like high school's got to be all about leg locks.
Yeah.
You know what I
absolutely.
mean? And then you get to college and you still use the leg. I mean, the leg locks still got to be a foundation because it's the front line.
Yes.
Because you're battling leg locks right away. Guy pulls guard, guy on top. There's a leg lock battle. Guy on top could jump on your legs. Guy on the bottom could get underneath you and go after legs easily. So whether you like leg locks or not, you have to be submersed into them.
Yes, absolutely.
And you have to know as much about them as possible. You have to be able. What's great about the leg lock game for me personally and for the 10 planet system is it makes the 10 planet system easier. If you have a really good threatening leg lock game, it forces the guy to smash through and get on top. And I like when guys try to smash me.
I see.
My game was built on getting smashed, you know, and I like when I'm getting smashed because if I'm getting smashed and I'm on the bottom, that means I can hold on to you and clinch onto you and work my game.
Yeah.
So the hard part of my game is guys constantly on the de-clinching mode, like de-clinching and like running away and like trying not to clinch. And I'm trying to clinch. But with the leg lock game, they want to clinch now. So I'm like, okay, it makes the 10th planet game easier.
Wow, I never thought of it like that. That makes so much sense, you know, because like you said, people start smashing. That's when you can get your lockdown. That's when you can start getting. Yeah,
exactly. That's when I can get that overhook and fire into New York or something. So that's what's happening. I mean, it's not a theory. That's exactly what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, you're on the front lines. You're doing it right now. Like, of course, it makes so much sense. That's perfect.
Yeah, so everything's beautiful right now.
Nice. What are some things, because I've been exploring potential leg lock defenses, body positioning and whatnot, and it seems that a lot of the guys that are defending leg locks are playing that smash passing game, but I've noticed that there's something about the over-under, the double-under passing game that really seems to stifle guys. Is that something you're incorporating into your anti-leg lock game passing?
Well, the underpass has always been one of my favorite passes. That's my forte. No one's better than going under.
Hello?
Been going under, but now, did you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yeah. There was a surge of noise. I didn't hear you. What you just said.
Okay. I said we've always been heavy on the underpass since day one. That's a staple of the 10 planet system. Now we're cranking it up, though. Just like we cranked up the heel hooks, we're cranking up the underpass.
Yeah, it's such a powerful pass, and it leads into so many different submissions, but it also, you know, gives the guy no chance to really attack your legs unless they can break free.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that easy to go under. You gotta.
Of course.
It takes a lot of energy. It takes energy, and it's dangerous. There's a lot of shit you can get caught with
triangles
there.
And whatnot.
So you got to get that all in the gym. You know, it's way easier and less energy to kind of just stand and look for M1s and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And knee slice and kind of just just be heavy in the pocket, just knee slice, but once you get that all out and once you get that mastered, it's what the 10 planet system's all about. We go under and we look for truck transitions. We're not even trying to pass.
Yeah.
We're going under just to create a scramble. That's it. We just want to scramble. Just go under. You don't even have to pass. Just create a scramble. And that's what we're doing.
Nice, man. And I want to give a shout out to one of my students, Dennis. He's a white belt. He just competed his first tournament over the weekend, and we showed him the samurai from quarter mount, right? Where it's the truck roll from when the guy has your ankle.
Three-quarter mount. Yeah.
Three-quarters mount. Samurai, right? Where you roll under, boom.
Yes.
And we showed him that a month ago, and he fell in love with the technique, Eddie. And his very first tournament, white belt, and the guy went for it, pulled it off beautifully. I just want to give him a shout out.
Oh man, thank you. That's a big part of the system too.
Yeah.
We like getting to the truck. And some people use the truck to get to the back. We do that too. We love the back. We work on the back all the time. We work on spider web all the time. It's part of our curriculum, working those EBI overtime rounds. And so we work on EBI overtimes on the regular. It's just part of our curriculum. On the days we do A, D, and H, those days we're doing 10 minutes EBI overtime rounds. So it's not like, oh, we got to work on them. There's a EBI coming up. It's just part of our daily routine, and it's not really. It's not just about preparing for EBI overtime. Preparing for EBI overtime is more than that. It's about getting really good at rear naked chokes and the options and the setups, and getting really good at defending them too.
Sure.
And the same thing with the spiderweb position. We spend a lot of time on perfecting, making people tap from the armbar position and all the options from there, and the defense as well. So it's just good for jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? That's just going to the work in EBI overtime rounds just translates into point jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? Because the better you are, the more time you spend on the back and working all the different options and setups and different strategies. There's so much to do with the back. It's not just getting the back, putting the over-under in, and then trying to get that choke in. There's so much more than that.
Absolutely.
It's so elaborate. It's so sophisticated. It's so complex. Everybody's got different
setups
paths and different setups and all that shit.
Yeah, and another thing that EBI has done with as far as pushing the overtime rounds, the way you've set it up, I've talked to plenty of high-level jiu-jitsu guys, and a lot of them say this one thing in common, that positional sparring is the key to them getting better and being prepared for competition. And that's exactly what preparing for EBI overtime is. It's picking those positions and more and doing that positional sparring. And I feel like EBI has helped bring that to light to many others inadvertently without them even realizing. And I know for sure we've adopted that positional sparring in all positions, and it's helped us exponentially.
Absolutely. We've been doing, we call those dead zone drills. We've been doing that shit forever. But we've been doing with more than just the back and spider web. When we do dead zone days, we would do everything. We would start like in an arm. We would start in the chopping block in the arm triangle. We would start in with a full vice grip in the darce, and just getting good at those last few steps before he taps.
Yeah.
What made him getting good at what actually made him tap?
Yes,
getting
that feeling, right?
At that. Getting, and you know what's crazy? Is the EBI overtime rules get you really good at tapping. You know what I mean? You become an expert at tapping, and it's a beautiful thing too. And the crazy thing about the EBI overtime, I've never really talked about this before. It's just it's an example of how retarded some people are. Some people are so retarded. The people that are against the EBI overtime rounds, they'll say, how could you decide a match based on quickest escapes? That's just so dumb. That's so bizarre.
It's silly.
But it's silly. But the only reason it seems like it's about quickest escape time. I mean, you could look at it that way, and there's a reason why I focused on calling it quickest escape time, because in a points tournament, if you dominate the position, you're going to win, right? Even if you don't finish the guy, you just dominate position. You get side control, and nothing happens in side control. You just dominate a position. You got points for it, and you win.
It's all about control.
It's all about control. It's all about dominating, right? And so EBI overtime rounds, I called it quickest escape time just so the people on defense would focus on escaping.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But really, you could look at it as quickest escape time
or best control.
Who had better dominance, better control, just like the point system.
Dope.
The only reason, because I could switch it right now. I could just call it and winner by most control time. It would be the same winner.
Yeah, absolutely.
You understand?
Great point.
It would be the same winner. So people wouldn't be about escaping. It would be about who controlled the match from those dominant positions, who had better dominant control from the dominant positions, instead of who had better control from side control. It's like we're going to decide. And we only go to that if in 6 tries, maximum 3 overtime rounds, 2 tries per round.
Yeah.
If in 6 tries, put in dominant positions, we don't have any subs, we got to decide by something.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's got to be by something. And what's the best thing to decide by after those 3 rounds? The best thing to decide by is who controlled the match, those dominant positions longer. And that's what it is, and that's what it's always been. But we call it.
Yeah.
We call it quickest escape time.
Wow.
So that everyone focuses on escaping.
Yes.
So that there'll be more action.
Absolutely, and that's.
But I didn't even have to do that. I could say you either someone gets a submission within those 6 rounds, those 6 tries, or we're forced to go to who controlled the dominant position the longest. If I would have just went with that, it would have been the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And then people wouldn't be all tripped out on, oh my God, they decide matches by quickest escape. That's how retarded.
Sure, but potentially, if you did it that other way, you wouldn't have people emphasizing the escape as much as the control in their training. So now by labeling it that way, people will emphasize I got to get out of these bad spots more than I have to control these good spots. Cuz
exactly.
Everybody
if you call it control position, people would just if you just focus on the control,
no one would get out.
It would be harder. It would be harder.
No, that's super important and great great telling me that, because that's super important. That labeling, that genius labeling makes so much more sense. It's like those little just wording makes a big difference. It's crazy.
Yeah. So, and that it only goes to that. It only goes to who dominated those positions the longest.
Yeah.
It only goes that if after 6 tries, y'all couldn't tap each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if there's just one tap anywhere in those 6 tries,
that guy wins.
We're not, or the other guy gets a chance. It depends if it's on the top of the round or the bottom of the round.
Sure.
If there's a submission at the top of the round, well, we're gonna find out in the bottom of the round who wins right here. We're not gonna go to control time. You know.
Sure.
So I just wanted to clear that up. I never really talked about that before because I really do want to focus on. I want everyone to focus on escaping as fast as possible. You know, because when we do EBI overtime rounds, we'll go a minute. So you have a minute to finish the guy. But when I say time, if the guy on defense is still defending, he lost. You know what I mean? So it forces the guy on defense when we're training to actively be escaping at all times. Take the chances with the escapes in the class. If you get caught, so what?
Yeah. Just
keep taking the chances. You got to get out. You know, so that increases the action. You know, if you have a guy who's back and the guy's just sitting there and just holding the choking arm, he might be able to sit there all day.
Yeah, man.
No, we can't have that. We you know, if I didn't make it so that would just lose the match for you, then people would do it. So it had to be that actively escaping has to be important in those overtimes. Otherwise, it's going to be boring. And that's what I'm trying to do is make jiu-jitsu entertaining.
Yeah. Now let's move on to Combat Jiujitsu. That's in the next EBI as well, correct? EBI 11?
Yes.
So
we're having it's a 4-man tournament.
Yes.
Featuring JM Holland.
My boy JM is in it. My boy JM.
Yeah, he's a head instructor at 10th Planet Bethlehem, along with Zach Maslany. He's in it. Chad George, he's in it. He's a black belt. Sheridan Moran, who's a beast. I saw him at the Honored Invitational. I said, man, I want you in EBI. Sheridan Moran is a monster.
He is a beast. I remember him.
Yeah. Oh, man, he's a monster. He wrestled his whole life, did sambo, and he's really good at jiu-jitsu and leg locks. Shit. Nick Honstein, he's in it as well. He wrestled his whole life. He probably has like 25 MMA fights, something like that. And
was it hard to get these guys in EBI Combat Jiu-Jitsu? Was it hard to?
Hell no. These guys wanted in.
It was hard to not pick people. That's what you're saying.
Yes. I could have easily made an 8-man tournament, but we're gonna do 4-man and just see how it looks.
Yeah.
See how it turns out. See if people like it or not. But we got Chad, like I said, Chad George wrestled his whole life, black belt in jiu-jitsu. Nick Holstein wrestled his whole life, black belt in jiu-jitsu. Sheridan Moran wrestled his whole life, did sambo. I think he's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, purple or brown, something like that. But make no mistake about it, he is a monster.
Sure.
And then, the only guy that didn't wrestle out of those four his whole life is J.M. Holland. Yeah, and he's got the tools to handle a dominant wrestler. I mean, in order, because from day one, for me, I have always been preparing for the worst case scenario in my own personal grappling.
Okay.
Always preparing for the worst case scenario. And what's that? A guy that has wrestling superiority over you, a guy that's been wrestling his whole life, a guy that's stronger than you, a guy that you're never going to get on top of. The sweeps are just a waste of time on these dudes. So you got to finish him off your back. And that's why I got obsessed with rubber guard and all the different ways you could finish people off your back.
Sure.
And so that's for me, because I know the worst case scenario is going to be that dude.
Yeah.
Dude wrestled his whole life and he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Shit. I got to go plata this guy.
Especially smaller guys like us. It's not easy getting these bigger guys off. It's a big problem.
Yeah, exactly. That's what she said.
Yeah. I got him. So now, can you explain the rules real quick? Like, I've read the rules online, but is there anything else people need to know? Like, what can people get excited about? Because I know if they're standing, they can't strike to the face, or they can.
No. There's no striking at all if both competitors are standing.
Okay.
If one guy's on the ground, which is like he sits guard, or if one guy's grounded in any way,
sure.
Now we could palm strike anywhere that's legal in
MMA.
MMA. Yeah, anywhere. So all that's legal is that palm strike. No close fist. If there's any illegal blows, like if you throw a punch by accident or an elbow by accident, I stop the time and that guy gets your back. We start from there and he gets your back, just like overtime with the leg hooks and over under. So you want to throw an illegal shot. If it lands, you get your back taken.
That's interesting. That makes things, because there's no judges. It's still EBI rules, right?
Yeah, there's no points. So how do you take a point away?
Yeah, interesting.
There's no points.
Yeah.
So we gotta punish them another way. So I didn't add the palm strikes to add TKOs and knockouts to the show. Although there will be some, I don't think there will be that much. I added the palm strikes to keep your jiu-jitsu a little more honest and to open up submissions more.
Yeah.
So in overtime, there's still going to be 10-minute matches. The Combat Jiu-Jitsu is exactly like regular EBI, 10-minute matches. And within the regulation period, you can palm strike as long as there's a grounded opponent.
Okay.
But in overtime, there's no strikes. Combat Jiu-Jitsu overtime is exactly like EBI overtime.
Gotcha.
You start in the back or spider web, because you're already there. You don't need palm strikes to get into better positions. You're already there. So Combat Jiu-Jitsu overtime will be exactly like EBI overtime. No strikes.
Okay. And is there anything else that's in there? Like that rule about the penalty where the guy gets the back, that's an important one, and that's one that I haven't heard yet. Are there any ones that
or a spider web? He's gonna it's just gonna be just like
the overtime.
The overtime. We stop the time. There might be 4 minutes left in the match. Stop the time. The guy that got hit illegally, he has a choice: the back or spider web. We started just like overtime, and then we continue the time, and we start from there.
Okay, and the grounded opponent rule is kind of like what they do in the UFC. If both palms are down on the mat, or both knees are down, or they're sitting on their butt, that's the grounded opponent rule.
Yeah, it's like football. You know what I mean? If a guy has a ball and he's running, what constitutes being grounded?
Yeah.
If his knee hit the ground, I doubt dudes are just going to put a knee on the ground and stand like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. I doubt that. But
because most people are going to be pulling guard. They're not going to be shooting for a takedown on staying on their knees or something like that. I see what you're saying. Gotcha. Exactly. Now, what I see happening is a lot more back takes, because I believe people are going to be turning away. It's going to be hard when you're getting slapped across your face, across the dome piece, and you don't know how to defend it well, or the shots are landing. What happens a lot in MMA are guys turning away and getting the back. What do you think?
Yeah, that's I think the mount is going to be powerful in combat jiu-jitsu, where in regular grappling, the mount is a great position to be in, but you got a lot of work to do,
Yeah.
and you got to have an elaborate setup game in the mount to make things happen. With the strikes, oh man, it's going to make the
Different
mount
story.
different story. Yes, and it's gonna change the guard too. It's gonna alter the guard.
Sure.
It's gonna supercharge the mount and the back.
Yeah.
Like if you take the back in regulation, you could palm strike the side of his face.
It's pretty much done if you get the back.
Well, is it pretty much done if you get the back in the UFC? Not really.
True.
Dudes survive. Dudes survive. So, but it'll change the leg lock game a little bit, but not too much.
Sure.
Not too much, because like you put a guy in honey hole, it's gonna be very hard to knock a guy out.
Yes.
You know, when he's from that position. Maybe from like double outside ashi,
Mm-hmm.
that all those outside leg configurations, those might go by the wayside, because if you miss that, and that guy's able to sprawl out of your double outside ashi, and he's right there in side control on you. Oh man,
It's
that
a
could
wrap.
that could change the whole match. So
Yeah.
all the inside reaping, I think is going to be still very powerful in
Sure.
combat jiu-jitsu.
And I was trying to think like what, comparing it to MMA, what could be beneficial, but it's hard to compare it to MMA because at the end of the day you can only palm strike. You can't punch in the face, and certain leg lock positions are very good. Like you have access to actually making a fist and punching in the face. That's why we don't see a ton of leg lock submissions in MMA. But with combat jiu-jitsu, like you said, there's still, since you can't cock back and ball up your fist and reach with that fist, like the palm is a little shorter than a fist punch. You know what I'm saying? So it'll be a little harder to get guys to let go of like a honey hole or something like that.
Yeah.
When it's going to be a little harder. So
yes, we'll see how it turns out. It could be a disaster. I don't know, or it could be a hit.
Sure.
It's hard to tell.
Yeah, I know a couple of years ago, probably like it had to have been like 7 years ago, somewhere in New York there were promoters promoting something very similar, combat jiu-jitsu, that you're doing. And I believe they were doing, I don't remember if it was palm strikes only. I think they were doing like MMA gloves, and if it hits the ground, they could punch to the belly. And this was going on like 7 years ago. I don't know if you remember that, Eddie.
I do, vaguely.
Yeah.
Vaguely.
And I think they were wearing MMA gloves. They couldn't strike standing, but they could punch to the belly, something like that, something weird. But I like what you're doing because, like you said, it keeps it a little bit more honest. It keeps the mount a little bit more honest. It's almost like when you're striking, you got to make sure that every now and then you know how to put those hands up. You know how to block.
Yes. It's just going to make your jiu-jitsu a little more realistic.
Yeah.
And three types of people are going to be doing this combat jiu-jitsu. It's great for grapplers, wrestlers, and jiu-jitsu guys that eventually want to do MMA, but they're just focusing on their grappling right now, and they really don't have time for their Muay Thai, or maybe they're just started with their Muay Thai, and it's just too dangerous just to get into an MMA fight and start working your Muay Thai.
Yeah.
So combat jiu-jitsu is the best style of jiu-jitsu when you're preparing for a future career in MMA, and it's also for guys that have done MMA, like Nick Holstein. He's done like 20. He's had like 25 fights, and at a certain point, you kind of, your body's just way too beat up for Muay Thai. You know what I mean? And,
sure.
And it's just too much work, and it's too brutal on the body. So guys that are retired from MMA, it's perfect for them. You know what I mean? It's it's a super lightweight type of MMA.
Yeah.
It's its own sport. It's not MMA.
Sure.
It's not MMA, but it's not jiu-jitsu either.
It's a little bit more fun because you can hit somebody in the face. That's always a little bit more fun when we can do that. You used to see these Brazilian videos of guys, like the Gracie breakdown. What were they called? The Gracie whatever challenges.
Gracie in action.
There we go. And they used to slap those guys up. From the mount, from the back, and that was fun to watch, man. And I know everybody does that with their new white belts. Every now and then, as the instructor, you give them a little slap here and there, and and it's exciting. Do you see?
Yes.
Do you foresee some retired UFC fighters or retired MMA fighters potentially wanting in on combat jiu-jitsu?
Oh, absolutely. Fabricio Verdum. Oh, he's a gigantic
He's
EBI
down?
fan. He wants to do it. A lot of Brazilians too. Yuri Simões is down to do it.
Oh, get Yuri in there, man.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think it's going to be something that UFC fighters, once they retire, they're going to get into.
Mm-hmm.
If the sport is successful, if we don't trash it and dump it, you know what I mean? Because that could happen. I don't know. I can't see a disaster happening, but you never know. Just when you least expect it.
Sure.
Who knows? I don't know what's going to happen. We're going to look at it and we're going to just probably keep it as a 4-man tournament within the regular EBI rules, 16-man tournament. We'll probably keep it like this. This might be the best format. Or who knows? Maybe, who knows? It might blow up so big the regular EBI rules after a couple of years seem like child's play, and everybody wants to get in on that combat jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe we do a 16-man tournament combat jiu-jitsu. Who knows?
Yeah, no, that would be cool, man. And I like that you're testing it out. You're not hell bent on what you're doing. You're not hell bent on the rules. You're leaving room for like improvement, and that's super important. You're kind of taking a chance, and you have the willingness to adjust like after it's said and done. And I think it's going to turn out well. I feel like if anything's going to happen, you might have a lot of people clamoring for like a rule change to make it better, but
Yeah.
I feel like it's pretty solid right now.
I hope so. Thank you, man. I just hope everyone's entertained and we keep pushing EBI to the highest possible levels. The UFC is, Fight Pass, like the whole Fight Pass team is so behind EBI now. They're doing everything they can to promote it, and it's a beautiful thing, man. They just want to take it to the highest possible levels, and when you got the UFC behind you, it's like, the sky's the limit.
Sure. Yeah, and hopefully you get a little bit more MMA media contacting you about combat jiu-jitsu, because there is striking now. These MMA guys can see jiu-jitsu a little bit more, and it can give just the whole jiu-jitsu realm a little bit more exposure through your avenue and through combat jiu-jitsu, and that would be a big deal for the jiu-jitsu community, period.
Yeah, it's going to bring back passing. Passing's going to mean a lot more.
Yeah.
The mount's going to mean a lot more. The back's going to mean more. The guard is going to be the full guard. That's going to mean a lot more. Not just your regular open C.
Yeah.
That could be potentially dangerous. So, I think it's gonna. I think the leg locks are still going to be in there. I think people are still going to get leg locked left and right, but it's just going to make all those other positions that I mentioned a lot more dangerous.
Sure.
And guard passing is going to be a lot more important in combat jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm. Well, Eddie, I'm super excited to see it, and on that note, we got to go. Like I said, I'm super excited, man. I can't wait to see this. What day is it? March 6th? Am I right?
Sunday, March 5th.
Sunday, March 5th. Boom.
Tony Ferguson versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. Saturday, March 4th.
Boom.
Sunday, March 5th. EBI with the debut of Combat Jiu-Jitsu. It's going to be an incredible weekend. You can watch it on UFC Fight Pass. You can order it on pay-per-view at ebiofficial.com or UFC.tv. And thank you for the support, man. I'll do your show anytime, man. Thank you.
For sure, man. Thank you. And hold on real quick. Are you going to corner Khabib and then fly out to EBI the next day? Are you that gangster?
Yep.
Are you?
Yep.
Damn.
Exactly. Oh, and also Sunday, July 9th, our first all-female show. We're doing the female flyweights for EBI 12, July 9th, and we got Tasia Pimenta, we got Aaron Harrell, we got Gazari Matuda, nothing but black belt and brown belt world champions. The IBJJF guys, they don't want any part of EBI for the most part. Only a few of them do, like Rafael Domingos, Felipe Fogolin.
Sure.
Only a few. You know what I mean? Only a few are down. but
the
not
girls.
the girls. The girls, oh, forget about it. IBJJF girls, they want. And I filled the whole card, and I got a list of alternates already. It's
Holy
just
crap.
Talita Allen Carr's
She's
doing
dope.
it. Yeah, it's gonna be crazy, man. It's gonna be insane. The girls are so hyped. It's a whole different story, man. The IBJJF girls, they want in.
Gangsters.
IBJJF guys, not so much.
Awesome, man. Well, we're excited to see that too. And, once again, thank you so much. EBI 11 coming to you live. Guys, check it out. Thank you, Eddie.
Thank you.